Well, welcome. So we are calling our meeting to order at 7:02, and I thought we should introduce ourselves quickly. I'm Jen Bosworth, and I live down Waller in the cross street. Closest cross street would be 48th, and I've been a board member for, I don't know, a few years now. And at first I thought I'd warm a seat, but these people have decided to put me to work doing other things. So here I am. And I also work for our two guests. So I'm a PE teacher in their district at a small elementary school. So that's fun.
And I know
we
that
work for you, Jen.
exactly. And Christensen's really excited to have her there. So you've made a good first impression.
Thank you. Who wants to go next? Are we frozen?
I'll go
Okay,
next.
Angela.
I'm Angela Angove, and I'm a Summit Waller resident for the last 40 some odd years. I live on 40th and 104th, just down from Central Avenue. And I can't remember how many years I've been involved with the board either. It's been more than 5, but less than 10. So.
I'm Dan Hare. I live at 54th on Waller Road, and I went to Waller Road Elementary School with Jen's aunt.
Yes.
That's all.
I'm Don Massey. I live on Canyon Road. I've been a resident of this state for most of a long time, and proud to represent the Canyon Road area of Summit Waller.
I'm Gabe Tetro, and I've been in the Summit Waller community for a little over 6 years now, and I help out with the website.
Yeah, I'm John Goodspeed. I've been a resident since 1981, and my wife grew up right on Waller Road at 99. And so we've been here a long, long time. I've been on the board for a couple of decades.
And our guests, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Lance Goodpaster. I'm the superintendent of the Franklin Pierce School District. This is my 6th year as superintendent and my 20th year in the district. I taught at Christensen for 9 years. That's where I started my career. Left for 11 years as a building principal over in University Place, and then have been back for 11 years. I'm not sure if I did the math right, but the first 5 years, Frank Hewins is assistant superintendent. And that's really how I came to know this group, attending meetings with Frank. And then as I mentioned, the last 6 years as superintendent.
Which school were you at in UP? That's where my husband works.
Oh, Evergreen.
Okay. He's been at Drum for 13 years.
Okay. What's his name?
He's Brian Bosworth. He has a fun name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So our time overlapped a little bit, but
yes.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joel Zylstra. I work with Franklin Pierce Schools in the public information office. So work on the communication side of things and kind of community relations side of things. So it's good to see you all. We used to get out a little bit more pre-pandemic, and hope we can connect at one of your in-person meetings in the near future.
That would be great. So thank you and welcome again. Thank you for coming. And our first agenda item is reading and approval of the minutes, but we are going to table that because they're not available at the moment. And then we have Russell gave us, emailed everyone the treasurer reports. Did we have a chance to look at those? And do I have a motion to approve them?
Okay, I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the treasurer's reports for both December and January?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, any opposed? No? John, I can't see you, so you have to speak.
Yeah, I said aye.
Okay, then motion passes unanimously. And website and social media, Gabe.
Hi. So going to the website, we are a little up. We're 45% up on our website sessions. The page views are up 64%. We're talking small numbers. That's based on the small amount we had before. And then the Facebook group, we're up about 9 members over the last month. We had 91 membership requests and we approved 13 out of the spams. So that's pretty much it.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's actually interesting or shocking when we do get a legitimate Facebook request, like it's actually a real person. And it's like, oh, it's kind of it's an event worth noting.
Yeah, it's almost a treat. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask Gabe if he'll do that. You're welcome. See you in a moment. Okay, so Gabe, Larry says he needs a new invite.
Oh, I'll send them one now.
All right.
But
And
it's
he's
going to
up
be a second.
next.
Yeah, it'll be a second. So you might want to skip him for a moment. Yeah.
We could skip him. Dan, did you want to skip ahead to Canyon Road Estates till Larry comes back?
You're on mute, Dan.
Thank you. Did you folks receive a copy of our reply brief?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, that speaks for itself. We're scheduled to have our court hearing during March. I'll be there with a suit and tie and make my presentation to Judge Zip. I've done a little research on her. I'm kind of impressed. I think she'll be favorable, or should I say fair, and we'll see what happens. If you have any questions, just read the reply brief. It speaks for itself.
And that's in March.
Yeah, March, I forget the exact date, 11th or 12th, about a month away.
Mhm.
We'll see what happens. The issue is the judge here in Pierce County, he made a decision to have it reviewed on remand. And when you read the decision on remand from the hearing examiner, they waited a year before they even issued the decision because they didn't want to issue the decision because there was only one outcome of that potential decision. So basically, he simply issued the original erroneous decision, which I think the judge in Thurston County will pick up on and send it back again, hopefully this time with some more specific instructions to the hearing examiner. Hopefully to have it go back to the staff to issue another report on it. And hopefully the judge in Thurston County will maintain and retain jurisdiction on it so that she can monitor what's going on instead of just letting them loose to do what they did before. It's complicated, but we'll see what happens. That's all.
Okay.
Thanks for tracking this, Dan. Appreciate it.
Well, it's it's a 50-50, okay? But it lets the county know that we're alive and kicking out here. Okay. And they think twice, I think, sometimes before they may want to pull something, where a lot of communities, they just do it. With our area out here, I think they'll at least think twice. Maybe not. Maybe they won't think twice, but who knows? You're welcome, though. Thank you.
Yeah.
Larry, we saw you for a moment and then you've disappeared.
Hey, Larry.
Hey.
Hello, Larry. It's good to see you.
Looking chipper.
Good to see you, Lance. And you too, Joel.
Good to see you, Larry.
Hey, Larry.
All
I'm
right.
back.
All right.
We're glad. And you're up to bat. It's your turn.
Oh, all right, hang on. I am assuming we're doing Orange Gate, huh?
No, actually, we were going to do Franklin Pierce so that
Oh, Franklin
Joel and
Pierce,
Lance are
okay.
welcome to stay for our entire meeting, but should you want to bow out and pursue your own interests for the evening after you're done, that's perfectly okay.
Nope, I'll go. I'm fine. The Summer Community Association has been promoting the farm for several years now. And as you may or may not know, the farm building, the new building that was to go on the site was just one click below funding for the last bond. We're very happy that a lot of new schools got built, and we were hoping that someday we'd get some money either through the state or extra funds available from other projects that may have come in under budget, that we could put some sort of a classroom, meeting room, etc. building on the farm site. And I guess I'll ask Superintendent Goodpaster to tell us how that came to be. Why there's how did we get construction going on the site?
Yeah, I'm happy to, Larry. Jen, can we show some slides? Are you able to give us access to do that? I actually have a little presentation that I've given a couple times the last couple of weeks. We don't need to do the whole presentation, but a chunk of it is basically.
Okay. Well, that is not my expertise area, but it is Gabe's.
Okay.
It's ready to go for you when you want to share.
Will you give it to?
Do you want me to drive or do you want to, Lance? Me? Okay.
Yeah, you.
All right. There we go. Move you around a little bit.
Why don't we, well, so just, if it's okay with the group, Larry, if you don't mind, I'll just do a little overview and then we'll skip to the farm question. Is that okay?
That'd be fine.
Just a little bit about FP. You all have been around for a long time, so you probably know all this, but we've got 14 schools, 2 comprehensive high schools, Washington and Franklin Pierce, Gates Alternative High School, and I'm going to share a little bit of news about Gates because they're at a new location now. Ford and Keithley Middle School, 8 elementary schools, Jen being at 1, and then our Early Learning Center right off of A Street up there behind Walgreens off of Pacific. We have really just an extremely diverse community. I know you all have seen it change over the years, but we're now to the point where there are 40+ languages spoken in our schools. Any ethnicity or culture you can think of, they're represented in our school district. So the next slide there that Joel's got is kind of our guiding principles around quality instruction, equity and social justice, and partnering with our families and community. Those are really our driving priorities and principles, and help us make all the decisions we make. Again, I'm going fairly quickly here, but a couple of fun updates that you may or may not be aware of. And again, we haven't been part of this meeting for a number of years. So over at Harvard Elementary School, right down the street on Portland and 85th, we have a dual language program that's now in its 6th year. So we started it with the kindergarten group 6 years ago, and those kindergartners are now actually at Ford Middle School, speaking both English and Spanish, not only speaking, but speaking, reading, and writing both languages. And by the time these students leave us and enter the workforce, they're going to be, a step ahead, having the literacy skills in both languages. So we're excited about that dual immersion program. We're considering expanding it at some point, but the challenge there is finding enough teachers who are also bilingual, and can teach in both languages, right? Another exciting program that we've just introduced this spring and starting to recruit a first group of students to go into it is a seed teacher program. We're partnering with PLU to really grow our own teachers. So you may be aware that there's a teacher shortage in general. There's a shortage of a lot of employees, and we want to build as much capacity within our own community of teachers who can learn the craft and then come back and teach in their own community. So we have a partnership with PLU where we're recruiting students who are seniors in high school who have an interest in education to participate in this program. They'll get a scholarship over at PLU, assuming they qualify, and then they'll remain employed with us throughout their time as PLU students in a part-time basis, some after-school mentoring, and then eventually paraeducators at the schools and working up to their student teaching placements. And then they're guaranteed at least an interview with us upon completion of their program. And another beauty of it is that they'll leave PLU without any debt. So we're really excited about that program. Now, getting closer to Larry's question here, one thing that we're dealing with as a district right now that you have to be aware of if you're not already is we have some budget challenges. So because of enrollment decline and just the way that states fund our schools in general, we've found ourselves about 700 students fewer now than we had before the pandemic. And student enrollment is what drives revenues. So we're going through a process right now where we need to reduce our expenditures for the next school year. And so that's been a bit of a dark cloud over at least my work this year. And we're coming to a decision-making point where we're going to present to the board our plan and move forward from there. But that's one of the challenges that we're facing. So to the construction, and I've saved the farm for last, so I'm going to go fairly quickly through this. So Larry mentioned all the new elementary schools that we were able to build. The first new school that we built was Collins Elementary. And if you're familiar with where that is historically on 128th, we did not build the new school on the same site. We moved it down 128th west toward Pacific and left the historic building standing. It was in good enough shape that we could do a remodel project and move our Gates Alternative High School into that building, along with our program for students with disabilities who are between the ages of 18 and 21. They're allowed, and we get to continue to serve those students until the age of 21. But really what they do and need are life skills. So part of the remodel at historic Collins, which we're now calling Gates High School, was a wing for those students, which is really almost looks like a small apartment with some living spaces and areas for life skills training. So we're excited about that new Gates High School. If you've driven by Franklin Pierce High School recently, you've seen the end of our bond projects. So we built the 5 new schools, we replaced the Ford gym, we did some other projects in this Performing Arts Center, which will be a community space that we're super excited about, and we're really days, if not weeks, away from gaining access. The work is done, and we're basically going through punch lists so we can get the county to sign off and give us access. Once we do, we'll make sure that we get information to you so you know when some grand opening events are. It's really going to be a special place to meet and see students perform, and it really will be a multi-purpose space. And so finally, the farm. So to Larry's point, it wasn't included in the bond that we passed in 2016. We had a community group get together and we had to make decisions on how we could spend that nearly $150 million. Although it didn't make the cut for the bond spending, we had really some advocates for us, not only in the community like Larry, but down in Olympia in the legislature, who helped us secure some capital budget funds from the state of Washington. And we were actually able to secure monies over a couple of cycles there, enough to the point where we could build where what used to be a couple of portables, right? Just meeting spaces and that we turned into classrooms, now really a state-of-the-art science lab with some community gathering spaces built in. So I've got some pictures here in a minute, but this slide here is just kind of an overview on the kind of the what happens at the farm. And there we have 4 staff that are there, teachers, as well as just the manager of the farm. We pay students to do internships out there, and they just love that work. And you know, some of our past interns have gone on to college to study, you know, agricultural and farming types of sciences. This year, roughly 180 students have either taken classes, you know, the first semester is over, or enrolled here into the second semester. And you can see we have thousands of people, community members, come out to and help farm that space. The food that we grow, we use in our cafeterias. We donate to food banks, and it's just a space that we're really proud of, and in part because of the community work and leadership of folks like Larry over the years to make it and continue to be really a special place. Let me show you a couple pictures, and then I'll pause for questions. So I've gone really quickly here, but that's a rendition. That's what it's going to look like when it's finished. If you've driven by, you know it's not quite that color yet, and I don't know necessarily that the grounds will and the fields will quite look like that, but the building itself with the parking there. So those multi-classroom / learning labs in that space, and a community center gathering space. So that might be one thing we can do in the future is might change your location for one of your meetings and let us host it there. And then the barn that already exists we'll continue to use and incorporate that into the space. There's a couple of pictures of the recent pictures of what it looks like now. The timeline is we think that we're going to be able to access this space this spring. Some of you know Robin Heinrich, who's been really the man behind these projects, and he's announced that he's retiring, but he's not retiring until this is the last project on his list, and he's not going until this one is finished. So, but we think this spring we'll be able to occupy and move in and start to use that space. And there's one more look at it. So a couple of drawings of what the science labs will look like, and then what they currently look like. So that really will be a ground to classroom learning environment where students can, you know, throw on their boots, walk out into the farm, collect the samples that they want to look at, and then bring them right back into the lab and study what they're growing. So that was fast and furious. I'm sorry I didn't pause for questions, but I'm really welcome the conversation now, Larry, so that I think I answered your first question. What else have you got, or are you interested in?
So the current building under construction is a different design than the original one.
The original building, or?
Yeah, the original building that Robin Heinrich had an architect do, I think is different than this design. This design seems different to me than the original building that was designed, but I could be wrong.
I think that sounds familiar to me too. Joel, what were you going to say?
Yeah, well, I think the original one, we had it slated to be larger, and the time of when the design was happening and when the money was actually coming through, the escalation of construction costs made it hard for us to make it as big as we wanted to at first. And so Robin went back to the drawing board and developed a a phased approach. So there is actually another set of drawings that we don't have here on this slide deck that includes a phase 2 to this project, which would include more space. The other thing that changed, there's this funny going after state funding is kind of it's a strange thing. And one of their things was to include cross laminated timber, a certain type of engineered timber that they were trying to promote, especially out on the Olympic Peninsula. And by using more of that product, we were able to get a special grant built in to get more money toward this project. So we changed the design a little bit to include that cross laminated timber and then also allow for a phase 2.
Are you going to keep the house, or are you going to demo the house, or have you not decided yet?
At this point, the house has been slated for demo. Just the amount of work that it would take to rehab it, and for us, it might be a little bit different for residents, but for us as a commercial outfit, for it to live up to our code standards, it would take a lot of money to get that back into a usable space.
Now, I know things are, well, first of all, is the conservation district still involved in the farm?
Yeah, very much so. Harvest Pierce County, they see it as kind of their primary laboratory for educating adult aspiring farmers.
And community members can still come in and get a spot in one of the upraised garden bins and grow food for their families. Is that still ongoing?
It's a little bit limited right now, the number of community beds. So I think they are primarily for people that commit to ongoing farming courses throughout the year. And so, but the plan is once we're done with having a big old construction pit over there, to expand the community garden beds again, and that will make it more accessible to those who don't necessarily commit as much.
As you know, and I'm hoping that the rest of the board members know, Jim Akers was very much a part of the idea for utilizing the farm to grow food for not only the schools but the community. And unfortunately, he's passed away. And I'm not sure whether the school district's promise to designate one of the acres at the farm with signage dedicating that acre to Jim Akers. It seemed like that idea was fading away, and I want to make sure that it doesn't go away, that indeed there'll be an acre designated with signage in honor of Jim Akers.
What I can share is that the current leadership with the farm, they certainly know of Jim's legacy. We actually still have the signs. That was something that was kept when there were some changes. I don't know if the thought is to have it the acre, although I like that idea, but certainly some recognition of Jim's role in all of this, especially around the community garden, because it's a community gathering place. So I think there's definitely interest in knowing that this farm probably would not exist in its current state without Jim and also you, Larry.
And
so.
Larry, yeah.
Well, if not out on the farm itself, maybe one of the rooms within the building could be dedicated to Jim Akers. So
We were just looking at was there a picture of the plaque, Joel? What were we looking at recently? Yeah.
Yep. There's a picture of a metal sign that was recovered before the construction began.
That would mean a lot if we could have Jim honored, especially at the farm, not just to this board, but I think that to the community.
Definitely.
We agree with that.
Yeah. thank you for remembering him in that
Yeah.
way. Appreciate it.
Well, as a new assistant superintendent, and as I was just kind of getting to know the community, I'll just say Larry and Jim were very influential in just the way I learned. And I learned certainly from Frank and the way that Frank worked with and partnered with community members on special projects like the farm. And Larry and Jim were both very impactful to me as at that time, a new administrator.
Well, I would have to say, I didn't share this with Frank or yourself. But our goal when we made the presentation was to make it so that it was not in your best interest to deny us this idea.
That was a good strategy. Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
also had Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland out for a visit, and the Undersecretary of the USDA. They came out for a visit to the farm this past fall, mainly just because they were curious about an innovative model of a school and farm connection. But also, I think they're thinking about workforce development around farming, in particular in areas that are close to more urban regions. So they were very intrigued by this in partnership with the Conservation District in Harvest Pierce County, and they agreed to come back once the new building is up and running as well. So be fun to have you all there for that as well, if we can throw a little open house party.
That would be great. So just keep us posted.
Yes.
Any other questions for me or Joel, farm or not related? Oh, Don, yeah. Let's see it.
Yeah. Does Franklin Pierce offer any other vocational classes, curriculum, such as a wood shop or auto shop that I'm familiar with back in the old days?
We do. We partner with the Pierce County Skills Center. So if you head on Canyon South,
I'm aware of it.
oh, you know where it is. And so our students, we usually have 50 or 60 students taking half of their classes there, and that's where some of those options are, auto as well as medical fields and food services and beautician work. The wood shop, we do have over at Franklin Pierce, over at Washington High School, a construction trades class, and then there are engineering classes at both of our high schools, entry to medical field classes at both of our high schools. So yes, and to your point, Don, I think that's making a comeback, if you will, the last 5+ years in particular, not just in Franklin Pierce School District, but a realization state and countrywide that those CTE, those technical courses are absolute musts to have, and we need pathways for students to enter into those fields, and starting while they're in high school, not waiting until they're out. So
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that that's moving in that direction.
agreed.
I had a question that's not related to the farm. So I noticed with the reconstruction and rebuilding of like Harvard Elementary and Central Avenue, the play fields and some of the play areas are no longer accessible at all to anyone unless you're a student and it's during school hours. And with the limitation of parks and the particular unincorporated Pierce County area, I know a lot of people living down the street from Central Avenue have used it myself. I've seen a lot of children there that, during the summer or when classes are out in the evening, those spaces being utilized, and those aren't available anymore. Is that a change in policy as the new new schools and security requirements are requiring that limitation to access, or is that just a policy decision at the district level? I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, no, it's a good question because we've had several meetings on this topic. So what we're trying to come up with is a way to make it accessible for the community
Mhm.
during, appropriate hours, not while students are in
Understood.
session and not while it's dark. And so
Mhm.
it's part of the challenge is creating just a schedule of, okay, who's going to get out there and unlock at what time, and then ensure that they're locked again. And then
Mhm.
how can we communicate with the community, and then what does that look like over the weekends? Because when we do leave them completely open, then unfortunately, not necessarily, not good things happen during the hours when. So we need to get back, and we need to lock that in, Angela. I appreciate you bringing that up because we had a meeting about 2 months ago, and we're kind of waiting for a plan to come back and be presented of how we're going to do that. Because that
Yeah.
was honestly, at least I remember speaking about that during the bond process, that these are buildings for the community, and we recognize that there aren't enough parks in our community and city. So, and we're trying to balance that with, to your point, the safety and
Mhm.
taking good care of these multi-million-dollar properties.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that because it's, I know Central Avenue in particular gets a lot of use since there really is no park except
Yeah.
in Midland or even in Orange Gate, and that's not officially a park yet until they're making some improvements. So it's nice to just to have that other option. And yeah, we miss it. So
I hear you. Thank you for bringing that up. Joel,
yeah.
do you have any updates beyond what I said?
I don't think so. We do have some schools that are more open than others, partly because there's not fences around everything. And then there's partly because there's, I think some of our custodians and some of the folks that's kind of built a rhythm around the gate piece. But I think what we need is additional support for them when they do encounter situations, folks sleeping overnight or
Mhm.
picking up a lot of extra dog poop before the next day of school, things like that, that we've got to get out ahead of. So.
All right. Are there any other additional questions?
Well, I'll just share
Thank you
briefly
so
that
much.
I was
Oh.
I had to sprint here to this. I'm in my office still because I was over at Franklin Pierce High School. The boys basketball team was playing White River, and White River is in first place. Franklin Pierce is in second. And I was watching my clock the whole time. I got to be like 7:45, 7:50, and then it went into overtime. So I had to
Oh,
leave and sprint down here, and I made it. And as soon as I sat down, I got a text that Franklin Pierce won. So we beat White River, upset the first place team in the league.
Nice.
And now I am going to check out once we're done here because I haven't seen my wife in a while. I think I'll try to make it home.
I do have before you go see your wife, just a quick question that has nothing to do with anything except for you mentioned sports.
Yeah.
Where does my kids are swimmers, and I was looking up Franklin Pierce's whether they had teams or not, and it says that you do. Do they swim out of PLU?
Swimmers?
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't think do we have a pool?
We partner with Mount Tahoma High School.
Oh.
And that's been, yeah, there's a long story there, but we would love to partner with PLU. That seems to be would be a natural, but they have a very busy pool schedule and it's pretty expensive. So we used to partner with Clover Park. Now we're partnering with Mount Tahoma.
Okay.
Bethel tried for years to get a swimming pool built and to no avail. So I think for the near future, we'll be partnering with Mount Tahoma.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering that. Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming.
You're
and
welcome.
Yes.
the slideshow and all the information. I learned so much. I have a whole page of notes of things that I didn't know about.
Well, I know that
And
for a while, Frank, we did this annually, like, I think maybe your year event, and Frank would give a quick update. I'm happy to get into some rhythm like that, something so that we can stay connected, because it's been too long.
all right. We are going to start planning that spring meeting soon, and I will keep you updated as to when it is, and issue you an invitation, of course.
Great.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks for
everyone.
having
so
us, and
much.
thanks for all
you.
your work advocating on behalf of the community. It's I think who was it, Dan, that was saying that people are paying a little bit more attention. They're not, the county's not just coming out and doing things anymore. I think there is a little bit of a, you got a reputation, a good reputation. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
Well,
you,
Franklin
guys.
Pierce is very accessible, the superintendents all the way down, and we appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Good to be with you all. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Good night.
All right. Take care.
Good night.
All right. I have to move all my sticky notes off my agenda so I can see it. So I was writing all my Franklin Pierce notes on sticky notes.
Huh.
I don't know why I did that. They were just there, and I just started scrawling all over them, and there's like 10 of them scrawled across now.
Hey, well, you got Canyon Road Estates coming up.
So, Larry, one thing that
Yeah.
I'm still not clear on is
Sure.
the precise history as to how you and Jim and the farm became involved with Franklin Pierce. Was it a land donation? Like, I don't know the story
No,
of
Franklin Pierce.
how this got started.
Yeah, as far back as I can remember, before we even moved here, Franklin Pierce owned that acreage.
Oh, okay.
And right off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember how many acres it is. But anyway, Jim Akers and I were going back and forth to Franklin Pierce School District board meetings and other meetings in the area. And I would go and pick him up, and we whenever we went by the farm, because it was really in a defunct mode. It had it originally was a 4-H endeavor by the Franklin Pierce School District, which was going pretty strong there for years. And then that program went away, and then they brought in some at-risk kids in the portables, and not much was going on with the acreage. So we just thought, well, that acreage it's a farm. Maybe it should start to be producing food like a farm. And then so we got permission from the board to make a presentation before the Franklin Pierce School District Board of Directors, and we got a standing ovation from everybody in the audience, and now we have a farm producing food for the schools, and also inviting some community members to come in and grow some food there, and also the conservation districts have come in as well. So the acreage there is being well used to grow food for food banks and for the schools. I'm just really happy, and I know Jim would be really happy too. But he would be going on about how they can improve the farm even more. I just know it, and because
Totally.
his next project was bringing more technology to all the schools, and fiber optics and all that. I mean, the guy was always thinking of ways in which to improve students' learning. Just a remarkable guy. I miss him every day.
You might
It's,
want to also,
It's 9.76 acres, by the way.
9.76.
Okay, I thought it was close to 10, but
it's 10 acres.
Yeah, Dan?
Easements. I might also add, Larry, that it wasn't for you and Jim Akers, that property would eventually have been surplus and sold by the school district. They would have decided it's no longer needed. They would have sold it to supplement their budget, and the property would have been lost. I think you guys got on it right on time.
Yeah, I
Sounds like
kind
it.
of forgot about that. You're actually right. They were in the midst of considering selling the property. Yeah.
Just like Orange Gate, back in '84, when you and me, Dennis Young, got on it because the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, was going to surplus and sell that 160 acres, which is now Orange Gate Park.
Well, they weren't,
Uh,
and they weren't gonna sell it. They were gonna lease it.
Well, 100 acres is the same thing.
Term. Yeah, either a 55 or a 99-year lease, and they were all set to lease it to a mobile home developer that was gonna come in and put in 800 mobile homes in what is now Orange Gate Park. But that
And then
got the
Swan
community-
Creek was supposed to be a dump. Is that what? Swan
Yeah, Dan
Creek,
can
your
tell
work
you
there?
about that.
Well, that's back in Swan Creek is back in the '60s. I held my first picket sign at age 9 years old.
Okay.
And long story short, it's a 450 acre park now. So this is just 3 examples of how our community over the last 80, 70, 80, whatever years has seen a problem, addressed it, got on top of it, solved it, and it turned out well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swan Creek, even before that, during the Depression, was the site of Tacoma's Hooverville.
It was called Bummer's Gulch at that time.
Bumpers.
Was it?
Yeah, oh, Bummer's Gulch, yeah. Still is sometimes.
Impressive. You've done impressive things.
We all have.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next is
Canyon Road Estates.
we skipped when you weren't on, Larry. We did Canyon Road Estate while we were waiting for you to log in.
Yeah, Larry, read the
Oh,
slide and refill
really?
in.
Yeah, I talked to Dan a little bit about it.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like 64th Street and Waller area is next. And we had some discussions earlier, I don't remember, and I want to say the end of the summer, maybe, and a little bit in the fall about ways to safely access the pipeline trail. And what did I want to say about that? We met
From
with
Waller
Marty
Road, right?
from Waller Road, the county side of things, and we asked if Pierce County had any plans to help out with that, and we were advised that traffic calming measures could be supplied by the county, and to write a letter. So, I don't know. Am I allowed to pass the letter writing buck to Dan, or do I have to write my own letter?
Last time I bought
If the board so wants to write a letter to start with traffic calming, so that as a start, and then when they get their money and act and plans together, that maybe that there's some room for bicycles by redesigning the road, so that it's more accessible to people to be safely from our community to the pipeline trail, because there's just not a lot of access points where you can safely get there, especially from Waller Road.
How about 72nd?
And that's why I put it.
How about 72nd Street? Isn't that good access?
They could
If
go
you
more
want your
safely
kids
up
riding
the
on,
hill.
if you want your, I don't know, I mean, there's kids and adults and stupid adults, right? So there's smart ones who ride safely and no problems. And then there's dumb ones who ride on the wrong side of the road and don't obey traffic signals or look for traffic. And there's parents who want their kids to ride, but there's nowhere for them to park unless they're going to park over at the restaurant. I don't know. And then that's one, but if people can get there on 64th, do they really want to come all the way to 72nd? There's lots of questions.
So I
Jim.
just did a distance measurement. There's 300 feet difference between going to the pipeline trail from 64th and Waller to 72nd as it is to go down 64th to the pipeline trail. Just a few hundred feet.
Well, you should probably have both.
Sure,
Just
but I'm
so-
just saying for now, I mean, it isn't much difference to go to 72nd now versus going to pipeline trail directly down 64th from Waller.
Jan, what is, you mentioned my name writing a letter. I'm not so sure that I'm gonna be doing that, but last time I brought up the subject, I got muted, so I have to be very careful here. What do you have in mind, Jen?
Well, I guess that there's ways that you can use the shoulder where you're not, I don't know. So I have an engineer friend and she does trails and this sort of thing. And this is her, so we've talked with her and Megan and Sheila Wynn about, going down 64th to get to the trail and how can it be safer for pedestrians and bicyclists. And she was saying there's ways of dividing the road and using the shoulder, like so that people can, so you're doing 1/3 of the road or 1/2 of the road for, just dividing it differently so that people can go in different lanes and leave the shoulder for the bicyclists and the pedestrians. That was one idea. And then when we were talking to Marty about this, he had said that things like speed bumps would be paid for by Pierce County if they were warranted. And seeing as there's Waller Road School there, that might be something that they would do as well for traffic calming. So I don't know, just ideas. But he suggested we write a letter and start saying that the neighborhood's interested in, some of the neighbors are interested at least, of seeing a safer area for bicyclists to go and pedestrians to get to the pipeline trail from 64th.
What's the timeline on this?
Well, they are not even going to do that phase, the Tacoma side of the trail. They're not even going to do that road for a couple of years yet. They're going to do the section of road west of Portland in between that and, is it McKinley? I think it's McKinley. They're going to do that next. And so Portland to Waller is last. It's like 4 years down the road. So we're planting seeds now. That's something we'd like to see.
Well, and I think too, it's the city's only going to go to the city limits unless they work on an agreement to go all the way to Waller Road with the county. So if the next phase is from Portland to the city limits, that doesn't even get you, it doesn't get you to Swan Creek. And the shoulders I think that the problem is, yes, your friend Jennifer is right about utilizing the existing shoulders for access, but the shoulders over Swan Creek are so small that I don't know what type of improvement you could make that would meet code to make it safe for bikes or for people. So I don't know if that it's completely feasible in that spot. And I do know too, we've talked about the feasibility of the county replacing the culvert underneath 64th and replacing that either with a bridge or whatever. And that's not really in anyone's 6-year improvement plan either. So I guess we can ask for maybe some, a back of the napkin feasibility study for some traffic calming measures, but I don't know. I don't know that it's just, it's not going to solve the problem. It might help, but
I hope that I live long enough to see the new Daniel Hare Bridge.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew that was coming. I knew it. I do it. I knew you were going to do that. Stop. Listen, I have an idea. Could I have 2 minutes? or 1 minute, give me a minute. I would be willing to put together a package that would contain a engineering report, petitions from the nearby landowners, and a very cost-effective way to accomplish all of this. It's really quite simple. If you go over there, there's a large concrete abutment on the south side of 64th Street that used to have a bridge going across there. And the reason they went on the south side is because it's a very short distance from one side to the other. If you go on the north side, because the canyon swerves around, it's like 3 times as long. I think, and I'm not an engineer, but you could accomplish all of this. Everything could be accomplished, even though maybe in the future you're going to put a bridge. But right now, it'd be easy to accomplish by putting an additional culvert on the south side, maybe 2 culverts, and
No.
then,
You cannot add a culvert. There's no way you'll get a permit for it.
okay, well, it might be easier to do that than getting a permit to tear out all of the earth in there and tear out the old culverts. I'm just
Yeah.
simply saying that if you could add a little more earth to the south side, it'd be more than enough width to add a walk lane both ways for people to access. Because right now, there's not enough room on 64th Street really to have
Right.
safe access. It's dangerous.
I
And,
agree. I
you know,
agree.
you can improve 64th Street, which it should be improved, but you really need to add some width to it. So you've got a
Mm.
choice. Either you're going to have to put in a bridge, which is going to take permits from the Corps of Engineers, frankly, because it's what's called a navigable stream, believe it or not, Swan Creek. It's going to be a major expense. If somehow they could add a culvert just to the south side, and that may be an obstacle, but it's something they do that all the time. Repair culverts, improve culverts, and then you'd be able to add some earth in there, fill, to widen out by maybe 10 feet or so on the south side of that area. It's a very short distance across. Let it compact for a season, widen the road, have your bicycle, a safe place for people to get from Waller Road School in Waller Road over to Pipeline. That's all I'm suggesting. And I don't want to say more than that at this point. Other than I'd be willing to look into it and write something up for the board's consideration. Angela, are you saying that it is impossible legally to add a culvert to that area?
It would be highly unlikely that you would be able to add fill. Or it would also be highly unlikely if you would add another culvert. Department of Fish and Wildlife has revised and is in the process of revising their code that would make all culverts need to be fish passable with a certain width and types and length and everything, that essentially they're bridges. Yeah, you aren't able to put in any round pipe culverts anymore. Those are going away, and that's why anytime we have a stream crossing project now, it's very expensive because it essentially has to be a small bridge.
Yeah, I hear you. This culvert, I've been through there many times as a kid. You can walk underneath it. It's quite wide,
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
tall.
that's true.
Have
Yep.
you been down there, Larry?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You can walk through it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
a
it's
large
current.
culvert.
It's currently listed as a fish passage barrier, so it's slated for replacement at some point in the future, but it won't be with another culvert. It will be with what's essentially a bridge.
Yeah. Well, then I
Are we
would.
getting it?
So-
Are we getting ahead of ourselves here? Maybe we should wait on any kind of input until they're actually starting to work on 64th development between McKinley and Portland.
Probably.
Sure.
Yeah, the only thing I was
But-
going to add to or ask Angela, probably know about this part, would be if they were going to do any improvements, they'd have to bring it up to that current code that you're talking
Yep.
about before
Yep.
they could do any other type of improvements anyway. So we're basically looking at a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, you know, something else too. That bridge you're talking about doesn't have to go from one edge of the canyon necessarily to the other edge of the canyon, which would require the removal of all of that fill, which would be enough to, I mean, that's a huge amount of material, okay? It could perhaps be just a bridge that would span just Oh, I don't know. Hire an engineer. I'm not one.
Yeah, I think it has to come down to the actual code that they have to follow and whether or not that permits, and then budget versus constraints and all that jazz.
I think Don wants to say something.
Right.
Angela, where can we get a fish count on Swan Creek at the mouth of where it dumps into Puyallup River, I would presume? And what steps going back to the south to the headwaters of the creek? Is any data collected on the spawning fish runs? What numerically, what kind of numbers are we looking at?
I have the answer to that, if I may.
Go ahead.
Puyallup Tribal Fisheries does an annual inspection of coho, chum, and occasionally Chinook salmon in Swan, Squally, Canyon, Rhodey, and the unnamed creeks and rivulets in the Clear Creek watershed. I have access to them. They're online. They publish it every year. You can get a hold of Russ Ladley down there at the tribal biologist fish hatchery down on Pioneer Way. They have all that information available. They actually do counts, and they actually also document and monitor the areas that are impassable, and so forth. And we've in our briefs when we had the real separator being challenged before the Growth Management Hearings Board, we quoted the Puyallup Tribe's fish reports assessments, and we used that as evidence to suggest that doing rural in this area out here was beneficial to the fish and so forth. And the tribe actually agreed with that.
Yeah. Is that data only collected by the tribe, or does the Department of Fish and Game, whose responsibility, what is their involvement in getting that data?
I don't know, but I would suspect that they're relying on the tribe. The tribe is pretty upscale when it comes to fisheries. They have on team professional biologists, and I mean it's quite impressive actually. So yeah, if you want to get that information, you can access it from the Puyallup tribe.
Okay.
I will, I'll put a link in the chat for you, Don, and you can click on that and it'll take you to the Puyallup Tribe's website where they post their annual salmon, steelhead, and bull trout reports.
Okay.
Oh,
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Back to you, Jen.
Yeah, I think you all froze for just a moment, and I was trying to get Angela's
Park,
link.
Pipeline Trail.
There it is. Open, copy link. Okay, sorry. So, okay, let's move along and come back to this sometime. I'll do a little bit more research. Dan, Dawn, everybody do what they want to do and discuss later, I guess. Because you might be right. Gabe might be right. If it's just that many years out, maybe we can't do anything. I guess I was looking at it as a seed planting thing, as there are people who are interested in seeing these things happen. So if you start adding that information to what they're planning, that maybe they would consider it instead of as an afterthought. Orange Gate Park and Pipeline Trail updates. So Tiffany Odell wrote me a note. She says Brianne Blackburn is no longer with Pierce County, and that she's
still with Pierce. She's actually still with Pierce County. She's not in Parks anymore.
Okay.
She now reports to my section in surface water management. Yay!
So that's exciting for you.
Yeah. So she's actually going to start working on Spanaway Lake management work that's been happening in their community advisory board for Spanaway Lake. So yeah, we're excited to have her in our shop now. So
So did you put a gunny sack over her head and take her away and put her in your group?
Yeah, Parks was pretty pissed that she was leaving, but we were like, sorry, too bad. Come on over.
Aw. So
Right.
Tiffany's now in charge of trails and that sort of thing. And she's monitoring Facebook conversations. And she had written a few weeks ago saying that there was some negative things going on Facebook. And when I looked into it, I wrote her back and I said, I see nothing. And she goes, I think Angela took care of it. So
Well,
she,
for sure. The area south of Pipeline Maintenance Road is now closed off. And that, I'm sure, has made the people who board their horses at High Point Equestrian Center not real happy, and because it's closed until the trail construction is finished around May. And they're going full bore here on as much as they can on starting to clear land. And they're putting up, they put up a whole bunch of banners indicating what's going on. Even across the street from my house, there's a banner. And so, of course, I had Susan Bush or from Sudara on Canyon Road calling me up and asked me about where she could go and where she can't go. And so I had to tell her, and she was happy because she doesn't go beyond Pipeline Road, Maintenance Road anyway. She was concerned about the area between 84th Street and the Pipeline Maintenance Road. So that's still open.
You can still get into the park. I was down there the other day. It's not difficult. Might be so with a horse, but there's ways in.
Yeah, I there's no park police running around. So, I mean, it's kind of like on the honor system that you obey what's open and what's closed.
Well, the reality is if you come in the normal access trail that the horse facility has and you stay in the area of the pipeline, there's a lot of exercise trails that could certainly be accessed without ingress into the construction area. So, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Don. There's plenty of space up there before you would ever get into where they're going to deviate the trail from the maintenance road to the south of the maintenance road and then come back. Yeah, there's lots of area up there.
okay, well,
Yeah, the comments on Facebook got a little spicy, so we had to turn off the commenting because people were just in a big gripe complaint fest about, I don't even want Orange Gate Park to be developed and it's horrible and all this stuff. And I was like, too late, sorry. Like, they had an open comment period and over 100 people commented, and obviously you weren't one of them. And people were pissed off. So we turned down the commenting, and there was some people that deleted their comments because they were borderline rude. And so
okay.
yeah,
Great.
and so Tiffany stepped in and was kind of like chiming in with some information too. So that's probably what prompted her to volunteer to meet with us this year. So
Yeah.
The biggest gripe I got with the county is if you look at the nomenclature that they present on their dated schedule, it follows nothing that they've ever said in the past and nothing going forward. Dates don't mean a thing. They got the cart before the horse. They're going to build a dog park, and they said, well, then the dog park isn't going to happen until 25, 26. So I don't think they know what they're doing from one day to the other.
Well,
All right. Well, she is going to, Larry, we need a rock, paper, scissors. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, a lot of future development is based on the ability to get money to do it. And but I believe they have money to develop the area where the old Whitney house was 84th and 46th. That's going to happen in 2025, and the dog park, phase 1 of the dog park should be done in 2025.
Well,
Even
another-
King County or Seattle is going after a whole bunch of new dog parks. I saw that on the news just the other day. So the thing that the recreational activities that seem to be coming to the forefront these days in the Puget Sound region are more dog parks and more Frisbee golf courses. In fact, they're planning on maybe a Frisbee golf course at Swan Creek. Talking about that now. They're quite a bit of fun.
They are.
There's,
I like frisbee
oh
golf.
yeah, there's people that are really good at it. I mean, got the big carrying cases. They've got discs for just about any distance, and they're really good at it.
Yeah, Don, you might want to check out the dog park at Swan Creek, by the way. They have one over there, I believe.
I'm aware of it.
Pearl doesn't like it.
I don't particularly like the area in general, so I have alternatives that I'm good with.
Okay.
All right.
Don, didn't you say you were you let it be known to park people that you wanted to help design the dog park at Orange Gate Park?
Oh, not to help design, unless you consider it critique what they're wanting to do to make it more favorable from the dog and its owner. Because I
Okay.
understood that they weren't going to do any clearing of brush, and a dog like Pearl, if I let her off leash and she finds something she wants to go after, she'll bury herself 50 feet in impenetrable brush that, and she's not the only one. And then they freeze if they can't get out. If they're chasing a rabbit or squirrel and it goes in the brush that you and I can't follow,
Right.
you've lost your dog. And
Okay.
if they don't improve it and make it user friendly, that's what I want to see. What do they really plan on doing? Yeah, I know you got the open areas on the northwest corner. You got a lot of undulated, call it grasslands, but it's heavily overburdened. You know, that could be a good open play area, but we don't know what they have in the back of their mind. They got some architects that could design it that has never owned a dog in their life.
Yeah, back in the day, that area you're talking about was flat, open, and Mr. Wisney used it to graze his cattle in.
Yeah. Well, it's got a good potential for a dog park, but it's just how they execute it.
I would hope that you would let Tiffany Odell know your thoughts.
Well, she's been informed.
Okay. Madam President.
Politely, I would ask.
Time to move on.
Larry, was there anything else you wanted to say about Pipeline and Orange Gate? I don't think you've been out there for a couple months, but I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, there's basically myself. The Parks Department's doing a fairly good job of cleaning up 84th litter-wise, and Hugh Kyle on 46, he's in his mid-80s. He'll go out occasionally. And I'm back to actually picking up some garbage, yeah.
Well, now we know you're healed. All right. Well, Tiffany did agree to come to the annual meeting, and she asked if she might do a presentation, and if you're all in favor of that.
It's a big project in our community. I think we should allow it.
It is. That's what I thought. So I told her to probably plan on it. And moving on, we're to letter G. So Pierce County Comprehensive Plan. Angela.
Well, I think I sent out just the notification that the comp plan is out for a public comment period between now and February 26th. So Pierce County has a very comprehensive website on the comprehensive plan.
They do.
And you can go see the draft documents. You can review the draft EIS. You can review specific like staff reports and fact sheets and draft policies on kind of different elements of the comp plan. So I don't know if any of you have done that, but I've just kind of been perusing through when I've had a few minutes here and there, which is not much, but they do have an online open house. So if you click on that where it says participating in our online open house, it'll kind of walk you through a series of slides that kind of talk about what the different alternatives are. And the different alternatives in the comp plan are the do nothing, the no action plan, which means just status quo, everything stays as it is. The other one is a centers and corridors alternative, and that kind of centers development along the key corridors within the community. And then the third alternative is the high capacity transit alternative, which creates very dense neighborhoods within a half mile of bus rapid transit lines. So like think Pacific Avenue, Canyon, and like the major arterials that would be very densely populated, but then would leave quote more rural areas less developed. So it kind of outlines those three alternatives across the different elements of the environment, in critical areas, cultural resources, land use, housing, design, transportation, etc. And it kind of walks you through all that. What I found to be the most interesting is in alternative 3, there is actually a retraction to the urban growth area, because they actually think they have more than enough space in the urban growth boundary to accommodate for future growth. And they're proposing pockets of neighborhoods or pockets of areas that we could actually take out of the urban growth boundary. And so that's all in a nice little handy map. If you get in there deep enough, you can see there aren't any in the Summit Waller area that they're going to retract because we are already rural. But there are portions of like down near Clark's Creek that they would remove from the urban growth boundary. Some down on Woodland Creek off of Woodland Avenue. There's a few pockets over off of Portland Avenue, a couple off of 112th. And then there's some scattered throughout like South Hill and Frederickson and even over in Gig Harbor Peninsula. So I would encourage you guys to take a peek at those.
Angela, could you send us an email to cite the page of that so we can so I can look at it?
Well, it's not a document, Dan. It's not like a 1,000-page document with a page number. It's more web-based, so you'll have to kind of click around on the website to get to that. And it should be in the link that I sent you guys a few weeks ago. But if you want, Dan, if you click on there and have questions, I can walk you through it. I can kind of point you out where some things are, if that'll be helpful for you.
Yeah, it probably would be.
Yeah.
We'll deal with that later. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just was gonna remind people that the comment period is open, and I would encourage you to participate in the online open house, because that is an individual thing that you would need to do yourself. And then if we wanted to write a comment letter on behalf of the Summit Waller Community Association recommending or endorsing a certain alternative in the environmental impact statement, or if there was a certain aspect of one of the alternatives that we really liked, that we wanted to voice our support for, or our dismay for, like we really don't like one of the alternatives, then I'd be happy to help write that letter if you guys would be interested in doing that.
Has anyone other than Angela had time to peruse those links and look at things yet in the comprehensive plan?
I'd like to look at what Angela referenced. I think that'd be
Okay.
something I would look at.
It's
Angela,
on my to-do list, but I haven't had a chance yet.
I'll have time. Angela, is there anything else that you've seen that is of concern regarding the rural separator?
No, not yet, but I haven't dug that far into like, I haven't, actually opened up the EIS document and, searched for rural separator, because that was going to be what I do next. So
Right.
I just happened to see the map that showed kind of the areas that they were retracting from the UGA, which doesn't hurt my feelings. Specifically, there was some that were, Summit Waller adjacent or rural separator adjacent. So I'm like, again, doesn't hurt my feelings. So I thought if that's something we supported, that we could write that letter saying that we do support these areas being redacted from the UGA. But I'll look a little bit more, Dan, to see if there's anything, again, the rural separator really shouldn't be any part of this, but any of those zoning changes, on the periphery of it definitely would, could impact it. So
Are we worried about the concentrated the third option, not centers and corridors, not leave as is? Are we worried about that being a possibility and impacting us at Canyon Road?
That's a good question, Jen, and I don't know, because I haven't dove into the details on like where specifically those, within a half-mile radius of these bus transit corridors that would be. I'm guessing it'd be mostly Pacific Avenue, 112th.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the busier, like South Tacoma Way, some of the bigger arterials, but I'll look into a little bit more. I just wanted to put a plug in there for you guys to take a look at the stuff I sent out, and if there's anything that grabs you of like you're like just spirals you into outer space and you think you want to write a comment letter, or if you really see something in there that like you really love that you want to support, then we could write a letter either way.
Okay. Was somebody else starting to say something at the same time I was that we wanted to?
Dan raised his hand there a minute ago.
Well, I don't know. Two comments. If you have more rural areas within the UGA, it gives more credence to the concept of a rural separator. It kind of gives us a little bit of an enhanced position where they're having other areas that are kind of a mini rural separator. That helps us. But at the same time, if they ever reach capacity and they need to open up more UGA, are they going to take those other little mini rural separators and get rid of them? Or are they going to start biting off pieces of our rural separator? Or are they going to expand further out into the boondocks, Graham, and so forth, to expand the UGA out there? That's just simply a question. It's not an issue.
I think we really do need to pay attention, because the demand for housing, the homeless situation, it bears paying attention to where they want to put the growth and the higher density housing and whatnot on the transit lines, because they do impact us. If it's close to 112th, that's a little bit outside our area, but 72nd's not, Canyon's not. That's something I want to keep an eye on.
I think they want to keep Canyon Road north of 112th Street to be essentially a corridor, not so much another meridian. I think that battle has already been fought and won, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that part's in the rural separator too, so it's not included in in this comp plan.
Unlike
Okay.
100 Wall Street.
Can
Okay.
can I share my screen really quick, Gabe? There we go. Thank you. So this is the map that you can see. This is on their website, and again, I can, if you can't find it on your own, the website I can help you get there. But these purple areas are areas that would be retracted or removed from the urban growth area if the county pursues alternative 3 in the draft EIS. And then it provides you a link to that source document where that comes from, and you can actually look at the pros and cons of what that would be. And I haven't done that yet, but so this area here, this is kind of that Clarks Creek area. This is off of Woodland Creek. This is over 84th, 85th and Portland. There's these little pockets kind of down here. There's random little things. There's more when you move south, kind of to the South Hill, getting into Frederickson Graham area. The yellow areas are those high capacity transit. So that's alternative 3 as well, where those areas would be further developed. So this is just to kind of give you a visual of there's not a lot happening in the rural separator, which is by nature, what's in the comp plan. So
Okay. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
yeah, you bet.
Okay, 2024 goals revisited. And we wanted to move to executive session for this
Could I do
section of our meeting.
Can I do the one quick first?
Hmm?
Can I do B first?
B, Swan Creek Park?
Yeah. Can I do that first?
Right, but I put that on there because, so it's both of us. The reason I put it on there, and Dan has something else maybe, is that was originally in the BMX park discussion. Dan wrote the letter and to Roxanne Miles. Yeah,
Correct.
that was her name. And talked about how it was not something we wanted to see happen in the park, and he laid it out about the history and what the community had envisioned, and a BMX park did not fit with the history of the community's goals. And so when I sat down with Marty a couple weeks ago to discuss this, what he said is, well, what do we want to see there? Because they are looking to actively engage the community in some sort of recreational pursuit. They said it's a really unique spot due to the mine, that there's talks about maybe if it's not a BMX park, that maybe there's rock climbing or some other, some sort of fit there that could be unique. And so he said that if we had strong opinions, then to figure out what options we would be favoring and submit those to be considered, so that we are proactively, when they do have the money and when this comes up again, what does Summit Waller community support? What kinds of recreation would we be willing to see there? And that's why I added this to the agenda. And now to you, Dan.
Well, yeah, you pretty much summarized it. I agree with everything you've said. Marty Campbell, of course, is running for treasurer assessor, so he may not be here after November, just to let you know. But you folks did receive a copy of the letter from the Summit Wall Group, I believe.
The one you sent?
Yes, y'all
Yeah.
see that. I want to thank Gabe for helping me out on the spelling check. You spell raptors, not rapture. Thank you.
It had a couple connotations that I don't think were intended.
Right, but anyway, the letters have been submitted. I haven't submitted them to the county council yet. I'll probably do that this Friday. The date of the letter went out on January the 21st. I redated it after I made the corrections, thanks to Gabe. But I think the letter has a lot of attachments to it. At our next in-person board meeting, I may give each of you a copy of it, if you don't mind, so you can have it for yourself. That's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Okay. So mental homework. Think about things to talk to the neighbors about. You think about what we would like to see there, because it sounds to me, and Marty might not be around whoever replaces him. It's hard to know how active they'll be with the board. He's been pretty communicative with us, and we've been lucky that way. And before him, it was Mr. Talbert, I believe, and he was also communicative with us. So hopefully we'll get lucky with the replacement. But who cares about what we think and say? But to be proactive on this, what not just us, the board, but our community, what do we want to see? And that might be something we put up at a table at our community meeting. I don't know. So
I like
that.
I like that idea, Jen. I think you could maybe put up a poster board, and then with some sticky notes, people can write on it and say, like, I want to see whatever it is, a rock climbing wall, trails, bike park, whatever. I think that'd be good.
Is there someone who could maybe do some visuals so that people can see what section of the park, and we can get that printed out? I don't know much about doing that.
Could I comment on this real quick? If you read
Sure.
the letter in detail and the attachments that I'll provide to you at our next meeting, the decision based upon people's feelings has pretty much been gone through and established for the last 40 years, since 1980. The property's been reclaimed. There was a tree planting project in there. There's a wetland that was established, a small lake. The area was grassed over by Pierce County. They hydroseeded it, and it has been established in a lot of people's minds as an area within Swan Creek that won't be used for dog parks, mountain bikes, or active recreational use. It's essentially kind of a raptor zone that is supports eagles and hawks and various animals. And when you talk about anything from BMX or something else, active recreation, you're going to be stepping on the toes of 18 civic organizations that were involved there, and you'll get the names of those organizations when you receive the hard copy. So
Okay.
I would suggest that in some cases, I'm an advocate of working on Swan Creek on the west side, bringing more active features, of course, Orange Gate. But when it comes to that particular area, it's sometimes you don't want to kick a sleeping dog. It's an area that is kind of a sensitive area. Read the letter again, and I'll give you a copy of it during the next meeting with the attachment.
We are talking about the east side of Swan Creek. Is that right?
That is correct. It's in the old 40-acre now reclaimed gravel pit.
Yeah. Okay.
Talk about this later.
Okay.
Back to the goals.
I
Don has a
guess
question.
the other two things we could move on to is just the note. Russell completed all our paperwork and filing, and so that's all done, in case anyone was worried and wanted to know. And then at whether we do this tonight, because there's still other things to talk about, and we're already at 8:36, or whether we postpone it to the next meeting, we kind of need to start planning, getting a date on our calendar, and then thinking about what we want to do for signage so that we can get more of the community out for the next annual meeting. So my personal thought is it's on here. It's a reminder. Start looking at your calendars, and at our next meeting, we put something in ink. But we're a team, so you all have to agree. And if you disagree, you should get out our calendars now and figure it out. What do you want to do?
Do we have a target month we're looking at doing this, just so we have an idea instead of just a broad range of things?
I believe May is our typical month. I don't know if that's
First
is that
Tuesday
right?
in May. Yeah, first Tuesday in May.
First Tuesday in May.
We've usually done it. So in
That's
lieu of
the
a
7th
meeting.
of May.
And then April, we do all the prep and planning and
Mhm.
okay.
In April, we've tended to do 2 meetings, one at the beginning of the month, which would be our usual Zoom meeting. And then that would be on the 2nd, and then on the 23rd, I think, would be another meeting to finalize plans for the general membership meeting and community meeting.
Okay, for some reason I did not remember that it took the place of our regular meeting the first week, and I thought we needed to choose a date. So I apologize for that.
Back in the
Memory
day, it did.
lapse. It has nothing to do with me getting older. Not a thing. Okay,
Back in the
so
day, we would have our May meeting, but we would have our general membership meeting like about the 3rd week in May, towards the end of May, would be the general membership and community meeting. So just a thought there that we don't have to have the meeting at the beginning of May. We can have it towards the end.
okay. So do we want to come back to this next month and decide whether we want it to replace our meeting or whether we'd like to choose a date toward the end of May?
Yeah, you could use the Tuesday, the 7th one as a finalization of getting ready for the general membership meeting later on in the month of May, or if you're going to keep it at the Tuesday, the 7th, then you pretty much have to come back on the 23rd of April for finalization meeting, which wouldn't be too long. I think they're usually half an hour to an hour. And then of course have April 2nd as the regular monthly meeting.
And then
Which would
April,
be
we
a
have
Zoom
the
meeting.
newsletter, right? In April.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's right.
So it would announce the date of the meeting too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we need to decide by next meeting what we're going to do.
Definitely.
Okay, so it's
Don's
going
got
on
his
the
hand up.
next-
Don's waving now.
Don, sorry. I looked down. I didn't see you.
Okay, with all the discussion about the BMX track not being at Swan Creek Park, does anyone in our group have any objection to suggesting to the county that they consider Orange Gate Park, particularly the fairly versatile area that is in Orange Gate, behind, meaning south of the proposed parking lot?
Mm-mm.
Well,
So-
Dan, what, I know you got comments on that.
Well, let me just say this, and I have to apologize, but the document that I sent to you folks was simply the letter. You don't have the attachments yet. A part of the attachments that I will give you during the next live meeting, you will have pictures of the existing BMX track out in Sumner. And it is a large commercial facility that would take up tens of acres. And it is very intensive with people coming from all around the state. It's not just a little a kiddie track where they go around in circles. It's a major loudspeakers, lights at night, huge parking. They tear up the ground quite a bit, and there's permanent structures there.
Oh, they need a commercial piece of property.
Yes, and in my letter, I have provided a list of dozens of properties that the county currently owns that are former gravel pits that could be used for that.
Okay, okay,
Read the letter again, and I'm gonna give you a copy of the letter during the next live meeting.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that leaves us with letter A, our 2024 goals, and there's some discussion about changes, and I'd like to move us to executive session to discuss those changes. All right. Is there anything left for the good of the order? Don.
Madam President, I move to
Larry.
adjourn our meeting.
Are you seconding, or do you have a comment, Don?
Might be, I have an item that I would like to discuss for just a moment, and that is House Bill 1868 that we talked about last week. And that is the House bill that was written by a number of ultra-conservative Seattleites pertaining to the use of gas-powered lawn, yard, garden, and farm implements. That has been assigned to a committee, and at one time we had someone that could have written it. Well, somebody, do we want to write a letter or at least follow it to get up? I don't know that it'll come out of committee to be even voted on, but it's an issue that concerns all of the residents of Summit Waller and most of the state.
Is there a public way we can post that on Facebook so people can know about it, so everybody can speak out to their
yeah,
officials?
I'll send who wants to put it in the what media, our Facebook page?
Yeah, probably that's the way to get the most people in the community right now.
Oh, I could probably put a link together. At least I can talk to Angela on the side and get her done.
Sounds good.
Chris
That would
Gilden
sound-
had it in his newsletter that went out. Did you see that, Don? Did you see that he mentioned it? So that went out to the community too. Anyone who reads his newsletter.
I didn't know he had a newsletter. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah, same here.
Chris Gilden, he's our
Right.
25th
Oh, yeah.
district
Okay.
representative.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I saw that or not. I don't recall it.
Okay, I'll forward it to you if I can find it.
Oh, he's our state representative.
Yeah,
Okay,
Oh,
I saw.
oh.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
all three of them sent me,
Yeah, if somebody could compose a letter from the association that, we represent X number of people from the Summit Waller community, and we would like to have you keep an eye on this bill, and if it comes out, we would urge a no vote on it.
oh, I don't think we should get into politics that deep and encourage people to vote yes or no. I think that our organization, we're a civic organization. We're not a political organization, and our civic responsibility is to educate people. So I think it would be improper for us to encourage a yes or no vote on bills that are going through the legislature. However, we can encourage people to take a look at the bill that you highlighted, Don, be educated on it, and if they feel they need to contact their state representative, then we can give them on our Facebook page the information, at least that we can mention the bill. We can provide them with the contact points for our three legislators if they want to contact them.
That's fair enough. I go with that.
Yeah, and by posting it, trying because we're admins and members of the board as well, to do it without commentary. Just so, hey, there's something that's coming up that might be affecting you. Here's information about it. Someone did that before about something else, and it turned out really badly because they were trying to give an opinion about it instead of just saying, hey, this is going on.
Now, we have to be nonpartisan about all of these political issues
Okay.
and candidates too.
All right. Just to reiterate for the record that under number 5, our 2024 goals, we are going to discuss, we're tabling it, and we are going to rediscuss at the in-person April meeting. Was that correct?
Yes.
For the record? All right. Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Is there anything else? Because Larry moved to adjourn us, and if there's nothing else, I will take a
I
second.
second.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. John, I'm assuming that's a yes? I think John's sleeping there because we can't see him. Oh, there he is.
He just needs some help with that setup of his at his house.
I know. Is that okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned at 9:38.